Miami playing Kansas City. Gianni will be on the show to take that game apart. Plus Teddy's big game breakdown. Ralph Michaels, Art DiCesare. We've got a great show, everybody. Stay with us all the way to the end. You're watching WagerTalk Today, the best all sports daily betting show on the planet. And I am going for 9 NBA wins in a row today. I'm excited. Teddy covers, my co-host. I'm Lawrence Presman. Ralph Michaels joining us right off the bat. And Ralph, I'm sorry I'm so excited, dude. I'm in the middle of my run of the year, and I'm not even sleeping over this. I'm supposed to sleep great when I go on a big run. Welcome to the show, bro.
Prez, you're supposed to say it's run of the year 1.0 because there's still a couple more to go.
It's actually 2.0, Ralph, because I had one of these in January or February. So thank you for pointing that out. We love having you on every Friday. Ralph Michaels is with us, and we're going to start right off the bat. Teddy, go.
Ralph, let's talk a little college football for Saturday. Arizona State and Utah is a game that's gotten a fair bit of attention here on WagerTalk Today. Looking at the live odds screen right now, and of course I've lost the game, and when we're looking at college football, it could be anywhere. Right now we're looking at Utah 11, total 40.5. You're interested in a first half wager on this game. Talk to us about it.
I am, Teddy and Prez. I am going under first half. This is an actual client release. Now, I released it at 21. There are a few 21s out there, but it has fallen to 20.5. Again, an advantage of signing up for an all-access package early. We have two very slow and methodical offenses. For Utah, we know what Utah is made of. They decided they're not going to bring their quarterback back. He's going to redshirt. They've gone to Bryson Barnes. They've got their running back. What are they going to do? They're going to run the ball. In fact, they are number 8 in the country as far as run plays versus pass plays on the season. Arizona State does pass the ball quite a bit more than Utah, but their pass game is really an extension of the run game. Their YPA, yards per attempt, 6.7. That's number 93 in college football. Utah, off a loss, they only put up 241 yards against an aggressive Oregon defense, but at home off a loss, they're 6-10 over/under when it totals of 54. This Arizona State team, 2-6 over/under on their year. And if you want to talk about non-explosive offenses, plays 10 yards or higher, Arizona State is number 99 of the 123 teams. Utah, number 123 in explosive plays. They have had almost none, only 10 teams worse in college football. And then when you look at the offensive and defensive averages relative to the rest of the foes they played, Utah comes into this season number 108, Arizona State number 115, and on defense, Utah's defense is number 2, holding foes to 116 yards per game, less than they averaged against their other opponents. And Arizona State, number 12. Solid value. And again, this is an actual all-access client release. First half under 21.5.
So, Ralph, you talked about a lot of full season numbers. I want to talk about current form here for a minute because Utah is coming off their 2 worst defensive games of the season. They allowed 6.7 yards per play in both and allowed more than 30 points in both. And Arizona State is coming off probably their best offensive game of the season. They hung 38 on Washington State. They have more than 500 yards of total offense in that game, 200 on the ground, 200 through the air. Those are the offenses that we like. So current form here doesn't necessarily correlate with the season-long numbers. Talk about the two.
Well, Teddy, when you're looking at current form, you want to see a representation of the strength of those teams. Off the top of my head, USC and Oregon are both top 5 offenses. I mentioned where Arizona State's offense is. You look at Washington State. Washington State's defense, one of the worst in college football. So you are taking the 2 extremes, pointing those out for recent performances. That isn't the current case for this week.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. We got a great show ahead. Ralph's got a couple of charts. He's also going to look at the New York Giants Las Vegas game. Gianni the Greek joining us. He's got a bet for us on UMonroe and Southern Mississippi, as well as the Chiefs and the Dolphins. And Art DiCesare at the end of the show. And Teddy, you got a nice big game breakdown coming up. What is it?
Bengals and the Bills, Sunday Night Football.
Oh, good. Oh, wow. We got two high-profile NFL games we're going to take apart today. Ralph, sorry, before we get into your next game, I want to address something that one of the people in the chat room put up, and it affects all of us. And I said that I'm on the run of the year. I'm going with 9 NBA wins in a row, and one of the guys said, "Well, does that include your San Jose Sharks bet that you gave out yesterday in the daily presidential address, which lost, by the way, 10-1?" Guys, Ralph is on Bet On It all the time. Teddy does 500 shows a week, give or take. For the record, the client plays. Ralph said that his college football bet that he gave out, Arizona State and Utah, under first half, is a client play. That play counts. It is almost impossible for us to do 300 shows a week, give out free picks to everybody, and then keep track of that free pick record. The only thing that matters to me is my client plays. That is it. I want to win on the free picks we give out. Ralph wants to win on plays that he gives out. Same with Teddy. We like those plays, but unless we tell you that they are part of our client package, they're not actually plays that I'm personally keeping track of. Teddy, do you have anything to add there? And Ralph?
So my big game breakdown's been pretty terrible of late. And believe me, thank you on Twitter for letting me know how bad they've been. It's going to happen. But you're absolutely right, Lawrence. Our job is to give out picks. Our job is to give out winning picks for our clients. And our job is to give out as many winning picks as we can when it comes to free plays and all the shows that we do. A lot of times we get assigned games, or we're going to pick a game because that's the marquee matchup that night, and we haven't touched on it,
right.
And people want analysis of it. But those most assuredly are not client plays. Ralph's free play that he just gave us was a client play, and there is a difference.
Ralph?
Prez, I want to add one thing. When you go to WagerTalk.com, our odds page and our free picks page are our two most popular pages for everyone out there. Great data. But I just want to say this, and I remind people of this all the time. There's a reason it's a free play and not a client play. Something kept you off that game. So yes, we want to win it, but when it marks all the check marks, it's a client release. When something falls short, yes, we still like the game, but it's an opinion as a free pick.
Yeah, and Natural 8, you're 100% right. The information we give out on this show is way more valuable than the actual picks. Case in point, Ralph Michaels, it's time for your chart part 1.
Well, guys, it's November 3rd, and with the calendar changed to November, I asked to do 2 charts. I'll go through them quick to not take up too much time, but both are very relative based on the month. Teddy, I think I'm going to get 2 thumbs up for you on these 2 charts. I hope I'm right. The first, I'm always on Friday, so yes, I'm a day late talking about Thursdays, but Thursday football with no bye week. Take a look at away dogs. We talk about being on a short week. If you played this previous week and now you're traveling, in September, your teams are rested and healthy. Away dogs cashed 58%. Guys, this goes all the way back to 1989. October, away dogs on Thursday, 53.6%. End of the season, teams are tired. Those days of rest are more valuable. November, Thursday away dogs, 37.7%. And December, Thursday away dogs, 34.4%. Take a look at the WA favorites. When you're the better team on the road on Thursday, that lack of rest doesn't affect you. But away dogs on Thursday, something that clearly marked down for the final 2 months of the NFL regular season.
Sure. And the no-bye Thursday road team certainly stands out. 2 numbers in the 30s over a decent sample size, Ralph. It's a chart that absolutely makes sense to me. And when you talk about Thursday night road dogs as the season progresses, that's where the wear and tear is going to catch up with you. Whereas when you have the superior team on Thursday nights, well, obviously the results speak for themselves. What about that second chart, Ralph?
Okay, guys, we're talking again later in the year. Now, Teddy and Prez, remember in the 90s, there was a huge discrepancy between grass and turf. You used to handicap NFL games differently. The grass turfs weren't nearly as good as they are. The covers weren't as good. You didn't have the water pipes under the Green Bay, under Lambeau Field to help the turf. But I still want to point out, when you get inclement weather on grass, this chart goes back since 2015, excluding the COVID year, and it's month by month. On the left are grass games. On the right are artificial turf games. So in September, you see it's flipped. Grass games 50% to the over. On the right-hand side, artificial turf 43.3. No real answer why that big of a discrepancy. But look at October, November, December, and January on grass. 44% over, 47% over, 44% over, and 42.3% over. So from October on grass, NFL games 44.7% to the over. October through January regular season games on artificial turf, 49.9%. So another thing I'll mention is, now the Pittsburgh field didn't have inclement weather, but the Steelers played last week, they played Thursday, and Pittsburgh plays Florida State. That's 3 games in a period of 8 days on grass for Pittsburgh. We'll see how that field holds up this week.
Let me just ask you real quick. Is this the kind of thing you would auto bet Pitt under this week?
No, because I watched the Pittsburgh field, and if you watched the Pittsburgh field yesterday, I watched the game last week. They replaced the entire middle of sod. So you saw a dark greener last night. So it's not beat up. But I do find games when Pittsburgh plays Saturday and the Steelers play Sunday, and it's inclement weather on Saturday, I will tend to play Pittsburgh, no question, under because of that horrible field condition the next day.
Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, one last game to discuss. The Las Vegas Raiders and their quarterback carousel, their coaching and head office mess, and their owner with the greatest haircut in history of the world. They're playing the Giants, -1.5. There is a 2 out there. The total in this game is 37. How do you suggest we bet it?
Well, I wanted to talk about this game because of the coaching changes. So I went to the database and I looked back since 1989. Interim head coaches in their first game have gone 43.1% and 39.1% at home. Does it make sense at home is worse record? I think so. You have more pressure playing in front of your home fans. I do want to point this out, though. When you go back to 1989, that's a long sample size. Most recently, interim head coaches since 2020 have gone 5-2 against the spread. So take that with a grain of salt. But there are a couple situations here which do favor the Giants. Number one, small away dogs off a loss as a home dog that scored less than 20 points have gone 77% since 2014. That says to take the Giants. Teams like the Raiders that lost to this opponent in their last game is off a loss as a dog, and now they're a favorite, have hit 34.1%. But more importantly, you look at this Raiders team. Now, O'Connell started at the Chargers, so he does have some experience. It's not an interim head coach with a rookie making his first start. But what stands out is he was sacked 7 times that game. The Raiders also gave up 6 sacks last week against Detroit. Now, while the Giants only had 5 sacks, 6 games of the season, they have had 10 sacks the last 2 games. And remember this. Jones has missed the last 3 games. Barkley missed games 3, 4, and 5. They only played game 1 and game 2 of the season together. Jones has practiced. He's been cleared. Yes, they got shut down against Dallas in week 1. And while this offense has been pathetic, with Barkley and Daniel Jones in week 2 at Arizona, they did put up 439 yards. So I think we're getting value on the pathetic Giants offense with Barkley and Jones finally playing together and having practice this week against the Raiders team in disarray.
So I've thought probably too much about this game this week, Ralph, considering that when all said and done, I'm probably not going to play it. But here's my question. It's not just the head coach that's gone from the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a coordinator change as well. So when you're talking about a quarterback that people aren't familiar with, an offense coordinator that people aren't familiar with, a head coach that nobody has any idea of what, he's only been coaching for a year. And he's got, he's a leader of men. But in terms of an organizational standpoint, I've got my concerns about Pierce. How do we know what to expect from the Raiders this week with new coach, new coordinator, new play callers, new quarterback? Aren't they like one of these teams that's kind of random this week, and maybe you leave them alone?
Teddy, I haven't decided if I'm using the Giants or not. I mean, that's the only way I would go, though. There's no way in hell I would play on the Raiders. And my suspicion is this. On Monday morning, we're going to say the Giants won the game 28-3, and the Raiders were a freaking favorite with a rookie head coach against the D-line like this and an interim OC. Obviously, you're not going to change much. You're not changing the play calls with a rookie quarterback. But again, you do have a new play caller. You do have a new cadence on the O-line. All those things add up. So it's Giants for me. I haven't decided if I'm going to get there or not, but only way to go for me in this game.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. We are about 4 minutes away from Gianni. Ralph, what do you have to promote?
Guys, I'm on a 75% run this week off a perfect 6-0 football weekend last Saturday and Sunday. 7 days of all access for $69. The code RALPH69. If you want to try me out for 7 days and get this football weekend, including a 5% for Saturday, it is all loaded. I have 7 college football plays loaded for Saturday. Again, go to WagerTalk.com, WTBuzz/RM. 7-day all access. Use the code Ralph69. I appreciate you.
There we go, Ralph Michaels, everyone. Teddy covers. What did bettors learn last night? That's where we're going now. Like I forgot for a sec. I haven't done the show for 4 straight years.
Well, we got to talk about the unders last night. And again, last night's game, Titans-Steelers stayed under 37. Thanks to a combined 3 touchdowns and 8 red zone tries. The teams moved the ball. They just didn't put the biscuit in the basket. That's happened a lot on Thursday night. Of course, the Monday night game stayed under. Vegas and Detroit finished with 40 points. Sunday night game stayed under. Bears-Chargers, 43, stayed under 46. Last Thursday's game stayed under, 24-18, under 43. Tampa-Buffalo. Last Monday stayed under. Minnesota-San Fran, 39, stayed under 45.5. Last Sunday stayed under. Miami-Philadelphia, 48, under 52. That's 6-0 to the under last 6, and the long-term trend is just not 100%, but the long-term trend is significant. All right. Worth noting that all 6 of those unders over the last 6 national TV games stayed under by 1 score. So they're not flying under, they're sneaking under. Now, Ralph Michaels sent me an angle this morning, and it fits into something Lawrence and I have been saying. He was talking about NFL totals of 38 or lower. Since 2019, totals of 38 or lower, 70.2% to the under. That counts every game. So yeah, there's some randomness in play here. But we talk about which of the 2 trends we want to be following moving forward. Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night game unders. I would expect those to be closer to 50-50 moving forward. But the totals of 38 or lower, the trend that Ralph brought up, the thing that Prez and I have been talking about, that the lowest totals over and the highest lowest totals under and the highest totals over, that's something that could easily continue moving forward. Again, 70% blindly playing all NFL totals of 38 or lower since 2019. That's the trend of the 2 that I would pay attention to moving forward. Lawrence?
Yeah, and Teddy, it goes perfectly with your philosophical theory of Osabuca that you were discussing yesterday. Just take the under. Remember your Osabuca theory?
No.
What was it called? Osum Kasumsum Razor.
Gianni the Greek to join us right now.
Okay, Gianni! Dude! So,
All right. I
so
found
awesome.
you. I was looking for which browser you're on. I've been working all morning, so a little tied up. Let's get some winners for the people.
Awesome to have you on the show, brother. And there's a rumor going around that you're going to be coming on every Friday for a little while now. Tell me that's true.
Yes. I hope so, Prez. I really do. I'm in a position right now where I'm just completely obsessed with working. I finalized a divorce, so now I'm kind of like on my own and don't have those responsibilities that I had earlier. So it lets me be a little more selfish. So I've kind of been working more than I ever have because that's what I enjoy doing. So I just get up early, I trade, then I bet and enjoy my life. God bless America. Sorry.
Well, anyway, listen, sorry about your divorce and congratulations at the same time. As a divorced man, the word I use to describe divorce at our age, Gianni, is, and it's a made up word, youthifying. Tell me you don't feel 10 years younger.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
110%. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I'm going to use that. You're right. That is the feeling you feel.
Yeah.
You do.
It's unexplainable to people, but it's like 10 years minimum 10 years. Okay, let's get into the first game you want to talk about today. And then I want to talk about what you provide for the clients over at WagerTalk, because it's something special. UMonroe, Southern Miss, you've got a total bet for us. How do we bet this game?
It's not a sexy matchup, but these are the kind that I like to find spots that have an inefficient number. And I think this total is just a little bit too low. Anything less than 60, I think, is too low. And a lot of that has to do with they played last year and they only put up 30 points. And these two teams look anemic offensively because if you look at their offensive passing success rate, one is 130th in college football and the other one's 123rd. So it looks like the offenses are terrible. But the flip side of the coin is that the defenses are even worse. You're talking about 123 and 109th defensive passing success rate. So teams have been having no problem putting up points on both of these teams. What I like even more is that recent, as they're allowing more points in their games, the total hasn't been adjusted as significantly. Over the last 5 games, the average total for UMonroe, 53.6. The average total over the last 5 games for Southern Miss, 52.3. With that said, they've allowed each of them over 37.8 points per game in that 5-game span. But it's because of how weak these offensive look. But the bottom line is you're only as good or bad as your opponent. And they're now going to be finally facing two of the worst defenses. So these offenses are going to look better than they have all season. And I think they're going to be able to put up 56 easily. They cracked 60. You bet this one over. I like that one in college football. I gave it out to my clients. And I'll just share real quick. Over UTSA, under Pitt, under East Carolina, over USC. I like to give as much actionable information as I can to your viewers. This is one of the best shows out there for sports bettors to start your day. But the over UMonroe, over Southern Miss is what we're going to zero in on for this segment.
Gianni, let me ask you a little follow-up on that, because one of the mantras that I have in college football is I don't want to ask very bad teams to do anything for me. I don't want to ask them to score. I don't want to ask them to get stops. I'm like, if I'm getting involved in a team, in a game with, let's call them bottom 20 teams, both of these are bottom 20 teams, I'm either betting against them or I'm not going to ask them to do anything. Here, you're asking two very bad football teams to score a bunch of points. Are you comfortable with that concept? Or what's your thought process? We talk about the worst football teams, the worst teams in college football.
I believe it takes a lot more effort to play defense than it does to play offense. We say that all the time about these players. Like, oh, this guy, he wants to shoot 30 times a game, but he doesn't want to D up ever. Because defense takes a lot more effort, and you're really getting heralded. You know what I mean? Unless you're picking balls off, no one's really excited about tackles and stops. And for me, I just think when you do have the top bottom teams, that's what you want to look at. Like, where's the effort going to be? I don't think it's going to be at the defensive side of the ball. if anything, if I have two terrible teams, it's almost going to look like an open scrimmage to me. Like if it was a bad team against a good team, then I have to approach it a little bit differently. But you're talking about two very bad defenses. And yes, their offenses are just as bad, but you also have to look at the level of competition that they played. Now they're looking across someone that is actually just as bad as them. I don't think either team's going to have as much problem scoring as they may have had. And I don't think their defenses all of a sudden are going to look like a top 20 defense because they're playing weaker offenses. Because anytime they did play an offense that was even lower 50, it's not as if they showed up and shut them down. So that's where I think this looks more like a schoolyard type game, wide open. No one really cares about stopping the other. And that's why I think each is capable of putting up 30 points on the other team. I could be way wrong, and we see a 3-0 final with zero effort on both sides of the ball. But it just appears to me, listen, you're out there, you're going to play. You got to play anyway. I just think it takes more effort to play defense. And when you have nothing to play for, it's hard to give effort. But offensively, I just think you're out there having fun throwing the football.
Gianni joining us, everybody. You're watching Wager Talk Today. Art DiCesare still coming up about 7 minutes away. We got more with Gianni and Teddy's big game breakdown. Teddy, Brian Starr writes, has edibles ever helped with your handicapping? My answer is it's helped with watching the games, not with handicapping. Hey, you guys?
Yeah, I'm not a big edibles guy, but no, I don't want to be handicapping games if I'm high.
Gianni?
Yeah, absolutely not. There's a time and place for everything. And there was a time in my life where, it didn't matter. I'd be smoking and looking at the board and going up to the game and betting it. But that's when I was a gambler. And now I invest my capital to try to get a return on my investment. And when you do that, unfortunately, you can't wake up and do that shit. Make your money, take a week off, have a vacation, wake and bake and smoke all day. God bless America. That's what we work hard for. But you got to be able to separate the two. And you want your mind as sharp as possible. And I don't care if you've been smoking for 50 years, like I may have. You're not at your optimum mentally when you're stoned. You just can't be. Even if you're constantly stoned and you have the highest THC levels in your blood, it doesn't matter. You're still not at your optimum. That's just factual to me.
Teddy?
And that definitely is worth noting for in-game betting, because I've seen stone guys blow a whole lot of money betting in-game. Like, and it's like, if you're not sober, don't bet. You're allowed to.
Don't even mess with the harder stuff. That's going to take
fine.
You down the road even quicker. But we're talking about
did not expect this segment to be so serious, but that was damn fine, guys. Okay, guys, before we get into Gianni's next game, which is Miami and Kansas City, a great game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. I want you guys to understand that Gianni does something different to all the handicappers over at Wager Talk. He does a lot of things different to all the handicappers at Wager Talk. But one of the big things for him is you don't sell daily packages. You have long-term clients, and anybody who is a client of Gianni's gets the opportunity to chat with you directly at 11 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday. Can you tell us about that program, Gianni?
Absolutely. It's betting alongside me. I've done this now long enough, Prez, where I think I've proven that I'm plus EV. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that want solid information and do have the discipline and patience to win at something that's very hard to do. Listen, I thought 1% of sports bettors are profitable long term. I found out it's even less than that. Talking to Dave Mason from Bet Online, he's telling me since sports betting has become so mainstream, it's even less than that. He said less than half of 1% of his accounts are positive lifetime earnings. And sharp guys. So it shows you how hard it is to win. Fortunately, I've done well where I've built a network and I'm able to turn a profit long term, year after year. So for those guys want to do that alongside me, I offer that to them. It's not easy, Prez. It's not for everyone, is what I mean. It's for guys that are to make that investment, because I was there. Like, I don't want to go long. I was there with stocks and other types of investments where I got to the point in my life where I had a bunch of capital and I wanted to do what wealthier people do, and that's invest it. And I went down a road that I wasn't educated in, and it cost me more money than it needed to. And I see that with people that are smart and do have money that get into sports betting because they do see it's a market, they could make a return, but they just don't know how to do it. I'm accountable to these guys every week, Prez, whether I win or lose. I have to face them on Sunday, go over my last 7 days, last 30 days in 2023, tell you where I am today and what my goal is for you when the year is over. If that's what you want to do and you really want to turn a profit, then I'm there for you. If you want to have fun and gamble and enjoy and bet even for profit, but just not do it at that level, then there's a lot of other options out there. But I wanted to provide a service for that small percentage. The bigger percentage is, I should be selling packages. That's how you market to the 99%. But I'm going after the 1%. That was like me and the 1% guy that got in the stocks and those kind of investments that just didn't know what to do and where to go to actually use that capital wisely. So, if you're underfunded, it's not for you. If you're just starting out and need to learn first, it's probably not for you. If you've gone through it and been burned over and over again,
savvy bettors,
it's probably for you. Yeah.
Savvy, seasoned bettors. You get to work with Gianni every Sunday. And Gianni is killing it. Teddy, last 7 days, 45 units of profit, 67% win percentage. But more importantly, and Gianni, you talk about this all the time, this calendar year, 174 units of frickin' profit. You know that this guy knows what he's talking about. We have a promo code up for you all. It's WagerTalk Today. WagerTalk Today.
And thank you, Prez. And that's my only goal. If our goals aren't aligned, then I can't help you. Thank you for bringing that up. Meaning, if you need me to win for you this week, this month, or this season, I can't promise you that. What I can promise you is what I've done at WagerTalk. When I sat down with Kelly in 2017, I said the exact same thing. I cannot promise you I'm going to win for you today, tomorrow, this week, or even this month. But I can promise you, if I place enough bets where there's statistical significance, I will be profitable. Well, here we are 6-7 years later, and I've won every single year except one where I had a bad last month of the year. Not making any excuses. The numbers are what they are.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. If your goal isn't the same, then I'm going to disappoint you. But if your goal's aligned, which is to make money long term, then that's where we're at. I'm at 170 units, like you said, a $10,000 bankroll, never betting more than $125 is up over $40. 40% return on your capital in 10 months. Find me an investment that does that, and I'm in. I'm all in. It's very hard.
Gianni, there's not many people.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Thank you.
There's not many people that would have the balls to interrupt you, but I'm one of those people.
Yes, you are.
Miami, Kansas City, brother. We got Art DiCesare coming. We're going to run this show late today, so don't worry. Lots of information still ahead. How do we bet this 9:30 a.m. Frankfurt, Germany game?
I love this game, and here's why. The very first group that I work with that's doing well in NFL came in and bet the Miami Dolphins on the money line. So they took the plus 110 on the money line. That made me think a little bit like, wait a minute, is Miami really the side? Because I like Kansas City. I look for extremes, and we have an extreme with Kansas City. They were a 7-point favorite that lost the game by 15 points. That's an extreme final. And on the flip side, we have a Miami team which has looked extremely well. Over the last 4 games, they scored 30 plus in 3 of those, covered those 3 games, but let's not forget, they were double favorites in 2 of those 3. So I like the recency bias coming in on the Kansas City side, and I'm like, what is going on with this Miami? All of a sudden, I saw exactly what the move was. It was get some plus money on Kansas City, see what to do, and as you started seeing, get some money on Miami, as you started seeing of the sharp followers on Miami, because I'm watching it in real time. Here's what I see. 3 different groups at the very same time slammed the shit out of Kansas City, betting Kansas City money line, Kansas City -1, Kansas City -1.5, Kansas City -2, betting 3, 4, 5x the amount of what they were betting over here on Miami on the money line. I watched this happen in real time, and that's when it confirmed to me everything I saw in the data and the handicap was correct. You got a Kansas City team where we know home field advantage is irrelevant to them. They're 3-1 on the road this year. They're 3-1 at home. So playing on a neutral field, I love it, compared to a Miami team where we know they have a strong home field advantage this year. Why? Because they're undefeated at home, but they're only a 500 team away from home. So it matters to them so far this season. Small sample size, but the NFL is a small sample size sport. Yeah. So we need to project forward. And what we've seen from Miami is that this year, although years past it hasn't been the case, their home field actually matters. So they're playing on a neutral site. I like that. We have recency bias. I like that. We have the Kansas City Chiefs coming in off a loss, and they're only one of 4 teams in the top 10 in both offensive and, more importantly, defensive passing success rate defensively. And against Miami, that's what you need, because Miami can score. What they can't do is stop anyone. They have the 25th ranked defense in passing success rate, and you're going up against a top 10 offense in Kansas City. Good luck with that. But more importantly, when Miami has the ball, they're now facing a number two defense in passing success rate in the Kansas City Chiefs. This team's legit on the defensive side of the ball. They stopped Miami on a neutral field Sunday. Take the Chiefs at -125 on the money line. If it's higher than 125, like I told my subscribers, then you lay the -2, because -2 -110 equals -126. So if you get 125 or better, you take the money line. Otherwise, lay the 2 with AC, and that's the side I like. Real fast, Green Bay, Carolina, New England, Chicago, all sharp plays. Follow, fade, ignore. It's on you. I just like to share information.
The betting class with Gianni has come to an end. Wow, wow, wow. Guys, you'll find Gianni on this show every Friday. Thank you for joining us, my brother. We've promoted you, etc., etc. Art DiCesare still to come. We will run the show late. Teddy's got a big game breakdown on the Buffalo-Cincinnati game. My brother, get us 20 more likes, Teddy. Do it right now in your big game breakdown.
Come on, get that algorithm moving. Let's go.
He's still with us.
It's
Teddy.
time. I'm well aware. I hear him. It's time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk another marquee matchup for NFL action on Sunday. The Bengals and the Bills. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Cincy -2. There is some variance. You can shop around and find different numbers. Total sitting in this one at 50.5. Of course, this is a playoff revenge for the Bills. Cincinnati won 27-10 in the playoffs last year at Buffalo. And of course, you remember these two teams met on Monday Night Football last year, the game that got canceled after Hamlin got hurt and was carted off the field. So there's a lot of recent history between these two squads. When it comes to recent form, there's a pretty big difference right now between Buffalo and Cincinnati. Buffalo's failed to cover their last 4, and they haven't looked like a great team in doing it. The offense has been sluggish. They continue to struggle in the red zone. The defense has given up yards and points. It's a team right now that's been playing good, but not great football. Cincinnati played pretty bad football early in the season. They came out of their bye and looked like a very different team. Burrow's healthy. The offensive line is healthy. The wide receivers are healthy. Mixon's healthy. They had only 1 rushing touchdown all year. They had 2 last week. Burrow looked like a different quarterback. The offense was clicking. So Cincinnati is a team that underachieved early and is now playing to their capabilities. We look at the season-long numbers, they're very mediocre for the Bengals. And they were a mediocre team for the first part of the season. But right now, we're seeing some bet on for Cincinnati, and I think that plays out on Sunday Night Football. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Give me the Bengals or pass.
Teddy covers.
Let's get those likes and see if we can get a presidential address at the end of the show.
Well, we are only one away, so I think we will. Dude, good thing Gianni went on and on as Art disappeared, but he's now here. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Art DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. Art, I'm organizing your merch. Teddy, Art and I had a lot of talked about Wager merch, our new website last week. I'm sending Art a whole bunch of stuff, and his favorite slogan was "I love ugly dogs." So I'm putting that together for you now, Art. You will get a shipment sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. Bear with us. Welcome to the show, my brother. Every Friday, we love having you on, and Teddy's going to get some actionable info out of you.
Sure. Well, Art, welcome to the show. How are you today, my friend?
Gentlemen, I'm good. And Prez, thank you again, for setting me up with some merch. Can't wait to get it. Obviously, I got my WagerTalk puck time hoodie on, as I always do. And, always happy to be here, fellas.
So we started the show where we're talking about this incredible trend. Games, NFL games of 38 or under, cashing at a 70% clip to the under over the last 5 years. The continuing Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night NFL games staying under 6 in a row now, 70% plus in recent seasons as well. Have bettors taken advantage of that? Have you guys been hit by unders on Thursday night or unders with the lowest totals in the NFL, or has that really been a non-factor for you guys?
Teddy, I think the primetime game angle has definitely been a thing. I know it's I feel like it's a thing we've talked about on this show for a couple of years. So I feel like when we get to Thursday, Monday, and Sunday night games, these standalone games, I think that has been a factor. I don't know if the super low totals, like you say, in the 38, 37 range, they've been taken advantage by, obviously, the sharp bettors. And eventually what happens is these numbers bottom out, and we get people who come in, Saturday and Sunday to Vegas and see, like a Giant total last week of 34.5, and they're excited to bet it because they're thinking that's an NFL game. How could it be 34.5? So they want to bet the over. So we've definitely seen that. And it's incredible. We sit in the risk room every week and just list off the games that are 40 points or below. And it feels like 60, 70% of the games are in that range now with these low totals. It's unbelievable.
So I want to talk a little bit about, certainly we're going to talk NFL and college, but I want to put a bow on the baseball season. How'd you guys do in the World Series? Was there decent action on Texas, Arizona? Was it kind of a non-factor?
Game to game, it was kind of a non-factor. We had talked early, I think right before the series started, or maybe even after game one, that Texas was not a good spot for us as far as liability in the future. But we did a pretty decent job of selling a lot of it off with the Arizona series price. So we were able to get a little bit back. But in the end, Texas winning it all, despite them being a winner for us, winning the pennant, which was a little weird, but them winning the World Series was not a good result for us.
Well, the books sometimes take a hit. The lights are still on at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. NBA, NHL, anything of note, early season action?
I think today in the NBA, you got a couple of these games. The totals are the ones that move. Cavs over money's come in, that's moved 2 points. Nets over money's come in, that's moved 2 points. Warriors under money's come in, it's moved like 3. And Prez will realize this too. We started seeing 5.5s pop yesterday in the NHL. We had 3 on the board early. Yeah. The Islander game actually got bet to 6. We ended up closing that game 6. That game ended 3-0. 3-0. And, I know Prez and I have talked about this. When you see those 5.5s, you should just blindly take the under. That's usually how it goes in the NHL. That's why those games are 5.5s. And the certain teams are going to be 5.5s. Islanders are going to be 1. The Rangers were 1 yesterday.
Dallas.
There are certain teams. Yeah, Dallas. There are certain teams that you see play 5.5s. And we've already started to see them 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and guys, real quick, sorry, Teddy. We talk about this, and it's amazing that you came up with that 70% of all those totals under 37 have gone under. Ralph came up with that. One of the people at the beginning of the show said, it's the information we give out that is better than the picks we give out. And that is indicative of what we're talking about. How many times have Teddy and I said over the last 3-4 years, just bet the lowest totals under? And the reason for that is that there is a perception out there that keeps there's like a ceiling on the overs, around 55. So it doesn't matter who's playing. The books aren't going over. We have seen 56s in the last couple of years, but we've never seen a 60 ever. Have we ever seen a 60 in the NFL game? Have we ever seen a 29, Art?
Not to my knowledge, not that I can remember, no.
And that's the point.
Northwestern's getting there.
In NFL. Yeah.
Have
we ever seen a 4 in hockey?
Northwestern.
Have we ever seen a 4.5 in hockey, Art?
No, I mean, I remember years ago, and this is, I was a gambler. I wasn't in the industry yet. But, when Lundqvist was playing in playoff games against, like, the Capitals, you would see 5s.
Right.
I remember seeing those type of games. And those games would be 2-1, and they'd go to overtime. So I remember that. But, no, I can't remember 4.5.
Teddy?
We've got just a few minutes left with Arthur DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. Art, let's talk NFL and college football. Let's start with the NFL. What team is on all the parlay cards this week? And what team are the wise guys loading up on this week? And talk to me about totals as well.
Sure. Public plays. The Kansas City-Miami game is a public over. I don't think there's any shock with those two offenses. And that total's actually started to creep down a little bit. We were as high as 51. We now have a 50 on that game. Cowboys, very popular with the public. That's no surprise. They'll be on all the parlay cards. And the Chargers will also be on all the parlay cards Monday night going against the Jets because obviously the Jets are putrid. And, the public feels they'll go against the Jets. They just like to do that. Sharps are on Green Bay. They took them early in the week at the pick, -1, even -3. Obviously, a lot of people feeling Stafford won't play. That Bills-Bengals total's gotten really bet up. We were 46-47, now at 50-50.5. And the Browns under, we were as high as 40, now 37.5 on that Browns under. So good sharp money there on the under, and it's now moved to that, under 38 of a total. So I understand it was a 40, but now it's gotten pushed down to there.
Strong, actionable information from Arthur DiCesare. Let's shift our focus to the college football card for this weekend. Most of the action tomorrow, a couple games tonight. Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? And anyone that Arthur DiCesare likes for this week in college football action.
Yeah, the public is on Rutgers, and they're on Texas, and they're on Washington. And the Washington game is obviously kind of, to me, those pros versus Joes type of thing. When we opened USC, reopened it this week, USC was as high as +4. Sharps took that. Look ahead line in the summer on that was USC -6.5. So that's completely flipped. Crazy to see that. Sharps are on Maryland as well. They took them at +10 against Penn State. They took Houston +4 against Baylor, and they took Arizona +3 against UCLA. So a little bit of sharp action there on some sides. I like Georgia Tech this week. I don't think UVA should be favored over anybody. So it's a short one. You get Georgia Tech +1.5, maybe even look at the money line. But Virginia shouldn't be favored over anyone.
Art DiCesare, everyone. Art, we love having you on, man. Sorry it was a tight, short segment today. Sometimes it's going to be longer. Next week, why don't we just do the whole show with you, Art? Start to finish.
I love that. Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll break down every sport. Let's do it.
But you know what? I am going to, if you can give me another day, not Friday, but if you can give me a Wednesday or Thursday, I will get rid of one of the guests and we'll do a long segment. You just text Teddy and I, let us know, and we can do a big segment about everything, how you guys make the lines, what your job entails specifically. It could be a really great segment, but it's based on your timing, and it just cannot be on our Friday show.
Art, what do you have to promote, my friend?
Yeah, we'll set that up. Westgate, guys, come down. Listen, got everything going. College basketball starts Monday. All the sports. Yeah, we just ended baseball, but we're going to throw a new one in there with college basketball. Obviously, football is rocking and rolling right now. And, as always, guys, listen, It's a busy time of the year. Obviously, everyone's time is, of importance to everyone. But if anyone ever comes down to the Westgate, needs any advice, needs any help, needs just kind of, how to navigate the sports book or what's going on, if I'm there, please ask for me, and I'll pop out and I'll give you a couple of minutes.
So real quick, last thing, Art, before we let you go, there's 100 and something college basketball games on Monday. You guys ready?
Oh, we're ready. And I'll tell you what the hardest part about the college basketball Monday, it's not all the games. Yeah, there's a million of them. It's the halftimes. When those 4 o'clocks go and we put up halftimes for everything, whether it's an extra game or it's 6-digit, it doesn't matter. We will have a second half on all those games. It's the second halves that's the most challenging.
Art DiCesare, outstanding. Follow him on ArtDice21. Thanks for joining us, brother. Teddy, we got way over 125 likes. It's time for our daily presidential address. Okay, guys, I got a couple of NFL bets I'm going to give out, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am betting both of these plays. Before we get into that, I have a 5% play up for NFL on Sunday. It's one of my favorite plays of the year. I'm super stoked about it. I'm also trying for 9 NBA wins in a row. And I've got an NBA bet up Friday night with a bonus college football bet as well. Okay, let's get into it. So I want to talk about Washington against New England. And well, this is a story about a eunuch going to a brothel. This is a story about a man who is around a whole lot of women, all in heat, and simply can't perform. That's how I see this game playing out. Yes, Washington traded their 2 best defenders. Sweat's gone, Young's gone. Does it matter? New England can't score. It's irrelevant to me. New England has no offense outside of 1 game this entire year. Now, Sweat and Young don't play on the offense for Washington. Nope. And Washington can score. They have put up a ton of points. They have scored 31 on Philly twice, 20 on Atlanta. 24 on Atlanta, 20 on Chicago. The New England Patriots, this team has allowed 31 points, 25 points, 21 points, 34 points, and 38 points scored against them. This game is Washington all over the place. Everybody's like, oh, Washington, they suck. They traded their 2 best players. It doesn't matter. A eunuch in a brothel still cannot score. The next game is New Orleans and Chicago. Under the total here, guys. I get that New Orleans has scored their last 3 games, but they only went over their last 2 games, and before that it was 12 unders in a row. This New Orleans team has defined themselves. They don't want to win high-scoring games. They are going to get out of Dodge with a win here, but it is not going to be an over. I don't think Chicago puts up more than 10 points. This game is 24-10 written all over it. I think New Orleans covers the -8.5, and I think this game stays under, and I think Chicago Bears team total stays under as well. Those are the 2 bets for the daily NFL presidential address. The NFL presidential address is up on YouTube right now, part 1 and part 2. Teddy, we went long today. My apologies. I hope you kick ass this weekend, brother. Take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the week here on WagerTalk Today. We'll be back again on Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon for you back east. Between now and Monday's show, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the game, and best of luck with all your wagers. Cheers.